And welcome back to Dark Side of the Mic. Today we're going to listen to the Takstar SGC-600, which is an on-camera shotgun mic that cost me only £21, delivered from AliExpress. Took about 10 days to come, but that's an incredible deal. And we're going to compare that to the Rode VideoMic Pro, which at the moment is about £130 on Amazon. Now, both of these are very similar in their specifications. They're both 3.5mm shotgun mics, super cardioid polar patterns, and they both run off batteries, so that's a single AA for the Takstar and a 9V for the Rode. They both have a high-pass roll-off switch, and they both have an internal gain switch, with the Rode offering -10, 0 and plus 20 dB boosts, and the Takstar offering -10, 0 and a plus 10 dB boost. And based on that on face value, you would assume that the Rode offers the bigger boost, the more sensitivity, so that would be the better choice for connecting it to a camera with, say, weaker preamps, for example. However, it's not as simple as that, because the Takstar is much more sensitive out the gate. So practically then, what does that mean? Well, at the moment, with both mics on their 0 dB settings, I'm giving the Takstar only 33 dB of gain, and the Rode is up at 46 dB of gain to be hitting the same levels. We're recording directly into my Antelope Audio Zen Go. So let's stop for a second of noise floor then, firstly on the Takstar, and now the Rode. And now we've selected the two boost settings on each of the mics, and at this point it really levels them up. So with the Takstar on the plus 10 dB boost, we're only giving it 26 dB of gain on the Zen Go. And with the Rode on its plus 20 dB boost, we're giving it 28 dB of gain. So they're very close now, almost identical in terms of sensitivity. But let's give it a few seconds of silence, firstly on the Takstar, and now the Rode. So it's clear from that the Rode definitely wins for noise floor by about 7 or 8 dB on both the gain settings. And I think it's worth pointing out there is no significant increase in noise on either mic when you use them in their boost modes. That's really good. And while the Rode is the clear winner here, I think both results represent a pretty good performance. I think anything better than -65 average RMS is really good. And given that they're designed as an on-camera mic for use in live ambient environments, where room noise is going to mask any self-noise of the mics themselves, I wouldn't really be concerned about either of these results. Now, as we've been jumping back and forward between these two mics, I think it's fair to say that they're both not ideal choices for close mic voice applications. And this is symptomatic of a lot of shotgun mics which tend to feel a little bit muddy when you use them indoors at proximity. I feel that's especially the case here with the Rode. At the moment I'm booming them above my head, about a foot from my mouth, and you can definitely hear a tubbiness when we switch over to the VideoMic Pro. So in order to deal with that then, there's a low cut filter switch on both of the mics that I've selected now, and that's designed to clean up the low end, which might be useful in a situation where you're not going to be editing the audio afterwards. Now these are both not the worst low cut filters I've ever heard by any means. It is quite subtle, but generally I would recommend doing low cuts in the edit afterwards, where you can actually dial in exactly what you're looking for that particular voice. But the option is there nevertheless on both of these. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about frequency response then, and I measured both of these mics in my room with REW, and these are the results on screen now. Now bear in mind this is not a particularly scientific way of measuring the mics, but it does let us see the differences as recorded in this room, and generally speaking the results I'm getting using this method are not a million miles away from the published responses either. The Takstar here then looks fairly flat overall, but the Rode displays a significant sharp boost at around 3 to 4K. That's the main difference between them, and strangely enough the Rode response looks eerily similar to the published VideoMic Pro Plus response. Now that's a totally different mic, and nothing like the actual published response for the VideoMic Pro, which indicates that there's a 10K presence boost there. That's not happening here, and it certainly doesn't sound like there's a 10K presence boost either. So whether Rode have just not updated it or they measured it wrong the first time round, who knows, but that 4K boost that we're hearing in REW, or we're seeing in REW, is symptomatic of that kind of nasally honky sound that I think really comes through in my voice on the Rode. Sounds like I've got a cold when we move over to that mic, and as you would expect I'm not really a fan of that on my voice anyway. So for a bit of additional context then, we're going to add in a couple of other mics, and today I'm going to read an extract from Marina Hyde, who's a Guardian columnist, on the sanctioning of Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich. Sport was so slow to catch itself onto reality that it would be hilarious if the circumstances were any less horrific. Tomorrow Chelsea will host Newcastle, who are now owned by a group led by the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia. But remember, those guys are the good autocrats because they buy our weapons and use them in a war in Yemen that has thus far gone on for 7 years, killing or starving hundreds of thousands, the vast majority believed to be children under 5. But of course the Sovereign Wealth Fund isn't the same as the Riyadh government. They just have a good relationship with it, same as Roman Abramovich just has a good relationship with Putin. Which owner knows the guy who's killed more babies is a question you won't be seeing on any banners at Chelsea Newcastle. Still, you have to say that Abramovich had a very good run. In this country there are murderers demonised less than guys who only become football fans later in life. The otherwise grotesque faux pas of being a footballing Johnny-come-lately was tolerated in Abramovich because he was stinking rich, which the English love, and that love goes far beyond football. Okay, so let's move on to some final thoughts then. I think the Takstar might well be the most bang for the buck video mic you can buy today. It offers great sensitivity and a flat, neutral sound that I think would complement a range of voices. And while the build quality, the shock mount and the plastic is not as premium as the Rode, providing you're not riding it into battle, it will certainly do the job. And I think it actually sounds better as well, which, believe it or not, is the most important thing. The proximity effect is not as muddy and the top end feels nice and smooth, and there's even a hint of saturation there, making this an ideal budget buy or even just a backup for your more expensive microphone. It doesn't have the sound or the technology of the Deity or the Sennheiser, so you need to remember to do things like turn it off after you've used it. But having said that, it's only £21. It's only £21. So I would think you would have more than enough money left over to buy a couple of batteries for your bag. Okay, with that thought, we'll leave it for this week. Do take care and we'll see you next time.